Is your soul feeling tired, exhausted, weary, and worn out? Are you longing to regain inner restfulness and strength? Do you sometimes feel frustrated or confused about where you're headed? In this episode, we'll discover the preciousness and value of silence and solitude, and how we can recover our souls and lives. But first, let's see how the dictionary defines solitude. It states solitude as the state of being or living alone. Blaise Pascal, a French mathematician, physicist, and writer who lived between 1623 and 1662, once said, "All man's miseries derive from not being able to sit in a quiet room alone." Pablo Picasso, a Spanish painter, sculptor, poet, and playwright who lived between 1881 and 1973, said, "Without great solitude, no serious work is possible." And when we think about it, didn't most of our greatest thinkers in history work in solitude? I'll be the first to admit I need to value solitude even more. In a world that increasingly values action, solitude is something seldom spoken about. Now, while solitude is being alone, solitude is not loneliness. While loneliness is inner emptiness, solitude is inner fulfillment. By practicing silence and solitude, it will help us build inner depth. The more inner depth we have, the more we can and have to give in our active lives. Now, solitude also helps us think through the deeper issues of our lives. It will free us from frantic activities. Henry David Thoreau, an American essayist, philosopher, and abolitionist who died in 1862, lived for more than 2 years in a cabin he built himself. He invested lots of time in solitude, and with his writings, he has influenced and inspired legends like Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. That's what solitude can do for us. Now, in this day and age, we're constantly on the move with people to meet, places to visit, things to do, functions to attend, games to play and amuse ourselves with, and the list goes on and on. Now, the real problem is not the lack of time, but the lack of desire or even awareness. It's not that we cannot have solitude, but we will not because we don't value it enough. We've been caught by the spirit of this age. We have become increasingly foreign to the practice of solitude. People are uncomfortable with silence, and so we quickly turn on the TV or stuff our ears with earphones or look for someone to talk to. I heard someone once say, noise is existence while silence is being. So here's the thing. Practicing silence and solitude is particularly important if you lead an extremely busy life, and especially if you've got children, like I do. Am I making sense? Are you beginning to have a greater desire for solitude? If so, great. Here are some practical suggestions. Begin to cultivate a fixed routine. Again, begin to cultivate a fixed routine. And this means having a fixed place and time to help you practice silence and solitude. I heard it said somewhere, solitude is like the soul's holiday. So do carve out a regular time every week to have a date with yourself. It doesn't necessarily need to be long, it just needs to be consistent. This is also the reason why I encourage my wife to regularly have me time. To take it a step further, whenever I get a chance I'll have meals with myself. It's wonderful and lovely. In the process, of practicing silence and solitude, instrumental or classical music can be really helpful. One of my all-time favorite albums for this is called Forest Piano by Dan Gibson. Go get it and thank me later. Personally, I also love to take really long walks in a park or walk on a beach. One can sit, meditate, and pray too. This has been one of my favorite activities for a long time now. Being with nature can be one of the most therapeutic and recuperative things you can do for yourself. So as we wrap up this episode, take some time to ponder over what we've covered in the last few minutes. I would encourage you to pencil in a time in the midst of your schedule over the next few days so you can practice silence and solitude and also reap the benefits of it in due course. Thank you for listening, and as always, I can be reached at kelvinchan.org. Cheers. Hey, thank you for listening. Do take a moment now and like this episode, leave a comment, and also subscribe to not miss out on new episodes. Once done, check out your next episode. Want to connect? Do so at calvinchan.org and also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Stay well and talk soon.